He's asking why PFL doesn't give them each a belt and resolve the issue. So what else PFL looks at? So they decided that Qahtani should be in the final, not Marwan.
She actually, interesting that she deleted all her posts on Instagram recently, right? So she doesn't want to give out too much to Hattan.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I have today a special guest from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I have the VP Fighter Operations, Gustavo Firmino. How are you, Gustavo? Tell me about your feelings just 2 days before the fight night, one of the biggest, or I can't say it's the biggest for 2024.
Yes, definitely it's a pleasure to be here, also to be talking to you again, my friend. And I think you nailed it. This is a historic event for PFL MENA. Obviously is our finale in our first season, but also is a historic event for MMA scene in the region. We had the best fighters, the best prospects in the region. They fought in our signature tournament format, and now we are going to see how it's going to unfold on the finale, and to have the inaugural PFL MENA champion. So I'm very excited about it.
So today is Wednesday. Fighters, apparently they are cutting weight. How does it feel for you in managing fighters' relations and what they need today specifically?
Yeah, so this is obviously, we shall say, the most important day for the fighters. It's the fight before the fight. So today, Wednesday, they are focused on cutting weight. Tomorrow morning we have the official weigh-ins. In terms of from our side, we provide all the facilities and everything they need to cut weight. So the hotel, we have sauna, obviously the gym with treadmills, and our fighters are very professional. So hope we are not going to have any surprises, but if we do have surprise, obviously we have the alternates as well. But I'm confident that everybody's going to make weight, inshallah.
Inshallah. So many viewers in the Middle East, they are asking where can we see the fights if we are not in Saudi Arabia? They see it's in DAZN, ESPN Plus. Will it be published in NBC Action or other platforms? And from what time to what time we would expect the fights?
Yeah, so indeed, here in Saudi Arabia and also for the whole Middle East, we are on NBC Action and also Shahid. Outside the Middle East, we have the zone for Europe, ESPN in US, and in Brazil, for example, we have Combate from Global, so they are also broadcasting the event. It's very interesting that we have fighters, even though these are MENA fighters, obviously we have both events together. We have 4 title fights for the MENA championship, but we also have 6 title fights for the PFL Global Championship, so there is a worldwide interest. But even when it comes to the MENA fighters, there is interest worldwide as well. Obviously, we have Ali Taleb versus Rachid. Both are have international competition experience, not only in the Middle East but also in Europe. And an interesting fight as well that is getting attention from the whole world is Rachid versus Mohsin. Both fighters are from the Wushu Sanda background, and it's a strong community worldwide of Wushu Sanda practitioners, and I've been receiving messages from Wushu Sanda practitioners from Brazil that they are really looking forward to this fight as well. So the fans can watch worldwide. I don't have on top of my mind the starting time, so I just ask the fans to have a look at our social medias and all the information about the starting time of the showcase bouts or the preliminary card, let's say. Then we have the PFL MENA Championship with 4 fights plus Hattan's fight, the amateur fight in the middle versus Lilia Osmani. And then after that, we have the PFL Global Championships as well.
So from my interactions with media team, they are saying from 3:30 p.m. They will be starting. However, I think the PFL MENA fights will be at 5 p.m. And I would expect a long night, as we are having a total of 16 matchups. The 6 title fights, the global ones, the 4 MENA belt fights. Then we have Hattan's fight and other 5 showcase fights. But NBC Action will be publishing the whole 16 fights, or just focusing on PFL MENA?
Yeah, that's my understanding. They're going to be broadcasting the whole event. And it's it's a long event. I think this is historic. Is arguably the biggest fight card, the biggest fight night in MENA history. It's not only about the number of fights. We have 10 title fights. So we have, like you said, 4 title fights for the MENA region, the best fighters in the region. And then we have the title fights for the global, PFL Global as well. I mean, in the main event, they have Loughnane coming back, fighting against undefeated fighter from Russia. We have, obviously, Dakota, who is a big star as well. I know our interview is to focus on PFL MENA, but, there are great fights during the whole event. So I'm very excited about that. It's going to be a lot of work on fight night, but very rewarding.
Okay, personally, do you think that Brandon Loughnane will win for the second time in PFL, or he will lose against the undefeated?
That's definitely a tough fight. However, Brandon, he has so much experience. Obviously, he already won the title once. He is used to deal with wrestlers as well. He fought many wrestlers before. So, I mean, whenever you see an undefeated fighter, obviously there is always, some doubts who can stop him. But if there is somebody who can do that, it would be Brandon Loughnane because of his, his experience. He obviously he beat Bubba Jenkins before, who is also a high-level wrestler. So I'm looking forward to that fight. I think most of my work will be focused on MENA, but then I'm just a fan watching the PFL Global title fights as well.
As a fan, what really amazed me, and I can't wait for Friday, that all the fights, it's like you say 50-50, 60-40. You cannot be guaranteed that this guy will win, this guy will win. Never. There will always be not surprises, but action. You will be waiting to see what will happen if this matchup is happening. Can't wait for Friday. Now, what people are waiting are the PFL MENA fights, starting with Ali Taleb and Rachid Hazoume. What do you think of this fight? We saw them in the face-off. Both of them were ready. What did you feel, and what are your expectations about this fight?
Yes, they are both super ready. Ali Taleb has been, on a roll now, finished his last opponent on the semifinals. He's a very strong fighter. He's still the current UAE Warriors bantamweight champion, and with a fighter with a lot of experience fighting internationally as well. On the other side, we have Rachid, who, on his own right, is a fighter with a lot of international competition experience. He's very well-rounded. While Ali Taleb, he's mostly a striker, very strong striker. Rachid, he is very well-rounded. He knows how to use grappling really well to take the fight to the ground when he needs. So that's a very interesting stylistically matchup. And as you mentioned, it's a 50-50 matchup. I think this is going to be the biggest test for Ali Taleb, and I'm not going to give predictions, but I agree with you. It's 50-50. I don't know how this fight is going to play out. I can see Ali Taleb being able to use his powerful strikes to potentially stop the fight. But I also can see opportunities for Rachid to use his grappling, to go for a submission, to control the fight on the ground. So it's a very interesting fight stylistically.
Yesterday, I was talking with the backup fighters in the lobby, and most of us were thinking that Ali Taleb can win this fight and win the belt. However, who disagreed with us was Ilyas Bodigsdam, who fought him last time, and he lost by decision. And he told us, no, don't never underestimate Rachid. He's very smart on the stand-up and on the ground, so you will be surprised after the fight. What do you think about what he's saying?
Yes, definitely. I think MMA in general is, they are fighting, they're playing a razor's edge game, and a punch that lands perfectly on the chin, or that perfect transition on the ground when somebody gets knocked down, the opponent can be on your back, and so something can happen so quickly. And as Elias himself mentioned, Rachid, he has very high fight IQ. He knows how to win fights, and he's very well-rounded. So I'm pretty sure he he's been watching. The interesting thing about the season is that they were able to watch each step of their opponents, and they can really strategize for him. So, I'm sure he had a great training camp, and I'm curious to see what strategy he's going to implement. But that's definitely a very strong fight for the bantamweight division.
I can't agree more. About the friends, the sparring partners who will be turning enemies for just 25 minutes, then become friends again. What do you think about this fight, George Eid and Mohammedseifi?
Yeah, that's such an interesting fight, right? So we have two friends, and I was talking to them. They've been training together for many years. In Lebanon, both of them come from the Wushu Sanda background. They've competed together in many international competitions and tournaments, but they were not on the same weight class, so they never fought each other. So you saw when I tried to face them off in the last event, and they were just hugging it out. I mean, they're great friends, but one thing that both of them told me is that once the cage closes, that's sport. That's that's a fight. They will fight to the best of their abilities. Both of them want to win, and then after that, they're going to hug it out outside the cage. So, friends outside the cage, it's business inside the cage. I expect this to be a very exciting, very dynamic, very electrifying fight. Both of them are incredible strikers. Obviously, we know the power that Mohsin has. Each punch, he throws with everything he has, right, to knock the opponent out. On the other side, we have George Eid, who has had amazing performance. He didn't have any trouble getting to the final, so it surprised me. I know George Eid since the times I worked for Brave, so I know him for a long time, and I can see his growth, his development as a fighter, so I cannot wait for this one.
In my interview with George, he said this one will be for Lebanon. This belt is going to Lebanon, especially at these times. Do you think this fight will be a Sanda fight or MMA fight?
Look, both of them are actually very well-rounded. You saw in the last fight, Mohsin, he repeatedly took Sohail down. He just didn't follow up on the ground, but he would throw him on the ground, so he displayed that he has good wrestling. So if things start to get, tough for him on standing, he has the skills to take the fight to the ground as well. So, and even George Eid, in his last fight, he finished on the ground with ground and pound. So obviously, both of them have Wushu Sanda background, but on the other hand, they're both well-rounded MMA fighters. So that's, it's just going to be interesting to see. I like this type of fights we have because they are very in the middle, 50-50, and you can see you cannot really determine or what to expect, how it's going to play out. It's not so clear that, this is a wrestler, this is a striker. All the fighters are very well-rounded for the bantamweight that we talked about, but also for this fight. So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. George Eid, he's been very confident, very, he's been showing a lot of development as a fighter, and he had a great training camp, he told me, in UAE. So, yeah, I expect fireworks on this one. I think they're going to start standing, and they want to, both of them really want to win. So we can expect some fireworks.
The following matchup is the amateur lady fight between the weighted or the fan favorite here in Saudi Arabia, Hattan Alseif and Lilia. First question, and many people are asking why you are putting it between the championship fights and not just in the beginning.
Right, yeah, I've seen the questions online, and I mean, the reason is, first of all, Hattan is a star here in Saudi Arabia, so I think it makes sense to kind of build up during the event and have her a little bit later. And there's no disrespect to the professionals. It's just that this is a long event, and I think for the fans, it kind of makes sense to put it a little bit, not right from the start, but kind of in the middle to break a little bit of the flow as well, because we have title fights that can go 5 rounds, and then we have this amateur fight, which are 3 rounds, 3 minutes, The ladies, they always, bring a lot of excitement. It's always fast-paced fights. So it's just to kind of have a little break. Like many events, they have, like a break for promotional content or other things happening in the arena in between fights or, potentially before the co-main event or before the main event. We have a great fight between, two champions in the region, bringing another female fight for in the region. So I think it's, it's very well placed, because otherwise we would have 4 title fights, 4 potentially 5-round fights back to back. Yeah. So I think it's the placement. It will work out well, and maybe these fans that they are they didn't like it. Maybe they are gonna actually see that it was a good idea, and the flow of the event went well after they watched the event live.
Yeah, as you mentioned, 25 minutes each fight potentially they can reach. So it's good to have like a ladies fight for a fan favorite like Hattan Alseif. And Lilia Osmani also in Algeria, they are rooting for her. Many Algerian friends and followers, they are telling me she will surprise everybody. What do you think the route for victory for both ladies? Hattan, what she needs to do to win, and the striker, Lilia Osmani?
That's a very interesting fight, because obviously Hattan, she's a decorated Muay Thai champion, world champion. She just won the Saudi Games once again. But on the other side, you have Lilia Osmani, who is a decorated Kempo champion. I believe 19 times Algerian champion and 2 times Kempo world champion. So she's very decorated in her own martial art. If you follow her career, she's very dedicated. She's like 19 years old, but she literally competes almost every weekend. Like when I was talking to her to sign her for this fight, she would compete on the following weekend, which, by the way, she was the champion. So she's very dedicated to her career. She already competed in jiu-jitsu as well. She's had MMA fights as well. A lot of people are on the internet are talking about that she doesn't have MMA experience. She actually had some amateur fights, but locally, and they are not tracked on Topology or Sherdog, but she had some MMA experience as well. So she's very well-rounded. In terms of key to victory, obviously, Hattan has sharp Muay Thai skills. She's a great striker, and she can knock people out with her powerful kicks. On the other side, you have Lilia, who is very well-rounded, and she has, like I said, grappling competition experience as well. So it could be the case that her path to victory is to take the fight to the ground, but at the same time, she has the Kempo competition experience. She's also a great striker. You look at, she actually, interesting that she deleted all her posts on Instagram recently, right? So she doesn't want to give out too much to Hattan. I noticed, but when I signed, she had everything there.
This was my second question, actually. Good.
Yeah, and she deleted everything, which, interesting strategy. But she has amazing kicks, like spinning kicks as well. So she's a complete martial artist. I think this is a fight that will surprise a lot of people. This is a very exciting, very dynamic matchup. Obviously, 2 great strikers, but I know Hattan has been training MMA as well here in Riyadh. She was recently in Phuket, Thailand, training at Bang Tao Muay Thai. So, she's also well-rounded. This is the kind of fight that we didn't see much about each of them. So everything that, it's going to be like an interesting surprise. I'm actually looking forward to this fight. It's a very interesting one, and I think it's going to be very competitive.
Yeah, I think it will be the toughest test for Hattan Alseif this time. Before going to the next 2 matchups, I want to ask you about PFL 2025. We saw the signing of having an event in Dubai on 25th of January. We know that you will continue also having some fights in Riyadh. What will be the plan for next year? Also, PFL Africa, is it confirmed that it will be in Morocco or maybe another country? Tell me what you can tell us, some exclusive answer.
Right. Well, about PFL Africa, yes, the league is starting next year. Even if I wanted, I don't have the details yet. The team is working on it, on the schedule of events and the locations. So unfortunately, I cannot tell much about it. However, we can expect that is going to be, an incredible launch for another regional league that is part of our puzzle, part of our roadmap to build the Champions League of MMA. Obviously, we started with PFL Europe last year. This year, we implemented successfully PFL MENA. So I'm looking forward to seeing Africa and then, the other regions, Asia and Latin America as well. So when everything is implemented, it's gonna be incredible. The true Champions League of MMA. But in terms of PFL MENA 2025. I think obviously the plan is always to keep improving. This was a great year for us. Saudi Arabia and Riyadh, they have been incredible hosting us, and the fans. We can feel that the fans really enjoyed, to see the fights, and I think we got even more fans into MMA with this event. I was talking to another media person here from the local TV, and he was mentioning about the numbers of engagement from the first event to the second and third. People really got into it and started to get to know the fighters, and they're getting more interested in MMA. So that's amazing to see. And for the next year, obviously the plan is to keep doing what we're doing and keep improving as well. So we are already working on the roster for the next year. Obviously, we need to wait this one to finish to see how things play out as well. And when it comes to the places where we are going to be hosting the events, obviously, I'm pretty sure that we are going to be hosting in Riyadh as well. However, we are looking into the possibility to host in other locations as well. So stay tuned, and I'm sure you're going to be the first one to know.
Just wanted to ask about Dubai and Riyadh. Are they going to be the same tournament here and there, or it's a different thing in Dubai? Like the 25th of January, will it be part of the 2025 season or just showcase fights?
Yeah, so the event in Dubai on January 25th, that's not part of PFL MENA. Okay. So that event is a PFL Global event, part of the Champions Series event. So that's not the first event of PFL MENA. Obviously, we have the event now, end of November, to start the league already in January. We need to give a rest to the fighters. So PFL MENA League 2025 season will start a little bit later in the year.
So guys, I already got some matchups in 25th of January. However, I'm not publishing them until they sign them. Once they sign, immediately you will see the post about them. You see, if it's not confirmed, I don't publish. I know I have them listed, just waiting for the signature. Okay, my next question. Many friends are also asking about tickets, but they said they are sold out. Is there any way to buy tickets from today and tomorrow, or no way?
Yeah, so I was told that actually, it's totally sold out at the moment. But however, my understanding is that we are trying to get more seats in the arena, and they would be added to WeBook.
On the door?
So what I would suggest to the fans is turn on the notification button on PFL MENA Instagram. As soon as there are more tickets available on WeBook, then we are probably going to be posting like either post on the feed or on the stories, so they can get the information and buy the tickets as soon as possible. But yes, it's obviously it's a great honor to see that the event is sold out. But I'm pretty sure that we are going to be adding few more seats. So yeah, that would be my suggestion. Turn on the notifications as soon as you get the information that more tickets are available. Go straight ahead to WeBook and secure your tickets.
That's great. Omar Eldafrawy and Aqraa. This is one of the most anticipated fights. We see both of them. I don't know if it's overconfidence or it's like this is the right confidence that you need to have in such a fight. What is your opinion about this fight, and how do you think it will play out? Both of them are promising knockouts, in fact.
This fight is like a movie, how both of them got to the finals. If you think about it, like for maybe somebody who is listening and don't know the full story, Omar Eldafrawy was on a 4-fight losing streak. He has one of the best comeback stories in MMA history, in my opinion. He comes back strong, builds himself up, then until he had a great win in UAE Waters against Bushiri and joins PFL MENA. and he goes through Anthony Zaidan. Then he fights the best fighter in the region, Jarrah Silawi, who was his hero when he started coming up and he started his MMA career. He used to look up to Jarrah as his hero. Then he beats his hero in the semifinal, and on the final he meets the final boss, a rematch, the last guy who beat him, Mohamed Aqraa. And it was not a competitive fight. Aqraa dominated the fight. Obviously, that's what he does with all his opponents. He has incredible wrestling skills, judo skills as well. He's a judo black belt, and he's been training as the second or third camp that he does in Dagestan at Habib's gym in Dagestan. So you can imagine that he's sharpening his skills even more. I can understand both being very confident. Aqraa, he already has a win against Omar. On the other side, Omar is on a, 6-fight winning streak now? So I can understand that he thinks he's Omar 2.0 version now, and that he's much better than he was before. So I can understand both are very confident, and the reason it makes it so anticipated and so exciting is that we have no idea how this is going to play out. Omar knows exactly what Aqraa is going to do. He's going to use his wrestling to take the fight to the ground and control. So did he prepare himself and he evolved so much that he's able to stop Aqraa's game? And with the fight is on standing, we can see that he has the power to knock anybody out. Or Aqraa is so proficient with his wrestling skills that even though his opponent knows what he's going to do, he's going to still implement his game. That was the same with Habib. Everybody knew Habib would use his wrestling, but they couldn't defend, right? So this fight will tell us a lot about each of them, and I cannot wait. This is like a movie story. This is a rematch. This is something historical for the MMA in the MENA region, and it's both fighters are on the top of their game, and there couldn't be a better matchup for the finals.
Yesterday, Omar Eldafrawy was talking to me, and he sent me some videos from his last fight, and the back to the head hits, which were repetitive in front of the ref, who did nothing about them. He said this contributed to the loss, and I don't consider it a loss, and I will show you this on Friday night. What do you think about what he's saying? And do you think having 5-minute rounds will play a factor here in this fight? Who has more stamina to win it?
I don't remember his fight to give an opinion about the strikes on the back of the head that he had against Aqraa at UAE Warriors. But to answer your question about the 5 rounds, that definitely can change everything. Which of them is ready to go 5 rounds? Obviously, taking fighters down repeatedly, especially if the opponent is able to stand up, so to take him down again, that's very tiring. So wrestling, takes a lot of your energy. Aqraa seems in incredible shape. I don't think it's going to be a problem for him, but we've never seen him going 5 rounds. We've never seen Omar going 5 rounds either. So there are so many variables, and I think that's what is exciting about these fights. We don't know what to expect. I think me as an MMA fan myself, I like to see fights when they are 50-50, when I cannot actually picture how they're going to play out. That's what gets me more excited. So I'm just another fan here, and I'll be, watching it closely because I'm very curious to see how it's going to play out. But definitely 5 rounds, it can change everything, and we are going to know about it only on fight night.
One of the fans told me that he saw the videos of Omar Eldafrawy separately, and Mohamed Aqraa were touching the belt, and it was emotional moment between each of them with the belt. He's asking why PFL doesn't give them each a belt and resolve the issue.
That's interesting. Yeah, both of them, every fight I saw, and I follow everybody on Instagram. I'm very active.
Why fight for one belt?
Right. I saw Abdulrahman. He was, looking at the belt and his dream to get it. We saw as well Abdullah Qahtani. He was actually texting me 1 month ago, Gustavo, please send me a photo of the belt. He wanted to print and put at his house or something. So I think that's what makes it special. It's just one, and you guys need to fight and find out who is the best and who deserves it. That's what makes it exciting. So, and for whoever loses, he needs to come back stronger and, fight again through the season to get it. So, yeah, that's what makes it exciting. But I can see that for every fighter, it means a lot. It means the world for them to win this tournament. So, I think they're going to fight till the end. They're going to give everything they have and leave everything in the cage to get the belt.
The next question, which also many people are asking about the backup fighters. I love how PFL pay attention to this, that for every matchup there is a fighter who is just ready in case of anything happens until the last minute. Now, just tell us about the rules, like making weight. If one of the fighters doesn't make weight, what PFL does? Do they fight for a non-belt matchup, or what is the situation?
Right, good question. So PFL rules for the finals, what happens is, first, as you mentioned, we have alternates, backup fighters for each weight class. So what happens is, if a fighter doesn't make weight, he's automatically out of the title fight. So he doesn't fight, and the alternate steps in and gets the opportunity. So, it's a big deal. Obviously, they don't have the 1 pound allowance. They need to make weight on, championship weight, as we say, so no allowance. And if they don't make weight, they're automatically removed from the title fight.
Give them 1 hour to make weight?
I mean, that the commission handles. Each commission has a different way of handling. Depending on the situation, they give some additional time, but it depends on the fighter's health, how he's looking, if he's allowed to continue cutting. That's a question actually for the commission, how they handle. But the fact is, if a fighter doesn't make weight, he's out of the competition of the title fight, and the alternate is ready to step in, and that's what they're here for. So, they are all ready to take the opportunity. So it's always there is a little bit more excitement for us tomorrow morning. Obviously, we would like everybody to make weight. That would be so all the fights that we announce, all the fights that are supposed to happen. But yes, we have a backup plan in case somebody misses weight.
Okay. So at what time you tell them it's fine, the fight will happen, you can eat whatever you want, you can drink or whatever? Is there a certain time, or like during the event or before?
Great question. So you mean about the alternates? So the official weigh-ins happen tomorrow from 9 to 11. Once the fights make weight, the fight's confirmed. However, the alternates also go in scale, and they need to make weight as well. So they are ready to fight, to step in. However, they are on standby until fight night. So until, let's say, the alternate for Rachid versus Ali Taleb, which the alternate is Elias Ismail, by the way. So Elias will be ready to go with his fight gears in the arena just when both fighters walk out. The walkout for that fight starts, then he's out of duty, and then he can relax. He's not fighting anymore. So until that point, things can happen. You've already seen, not in PFL, but other events, when a fighter gets sick, maybe he didn't have a good recovery after the weight cut, and then on fight night he gets sick, and the fight falls apart on fight day, right? So this happened already quite a few times in MMA. So they are on the job until that fight, which he's the backup for, until that fight when both fighters walk out. Once that happens, they're off duty, and they can just enjoy the event.
Until walk out, fair enough. Some people are asking about any plans for weight classes for next season, or not yet decided? Like 57 kg, those lower or higher?
Yeah, so for next year, we are going to continue with 4 weight classes. And obviously, if we add more weight classes, we need to add either the number of events or the fight cards will get too big. So I think it was a successful formula. It worked really well. 4 weight classes is PFL's standard, same that they implement in PFL Europe, and we implement in Africa as well. Just different weight classes, but they always keep 4. And for the next year, we are probably continuing with the same weight classes, because heavyweight classes is difficult to get a full roster in the Middle East. So even middleweight or light heavyweight, we have good fighters, but we cannot really have a roster, a full division. So I think, you know, the sweet spot, where we get, you know, a good roster of fighters is between 61 to 77. So from bantamweight to welterweight.
One of the fighters in showcase fights is Salim Tarabulsi. He is undefeated, and some people are asking, is he going to join the next season, or it's just a showcase fight?
Yeah, he's on a showcase bout. And then for the next year, the roster is not completed yet, so anything can happen. So we're still working on the roster. We have a great problem, which is a lot of options, and there are so many good talent in the whole Middle East. So we need to make some decisions, but we can actually just start making confirmations of the roster after this event. So the focus for now has been, you know, focusing on this event, finalizing the season. This is a grand finale, so all the attention has been in this event, and then after that we take the next steps. So stay tuned.
Fair enough. And I'm keeping the cherry till the end about Abdullah Qahtani and Abdulrahman Hyasat. So many people are waiting for this fight, for this rematch. There are some factors which are different this time. It's a 5 rounds fight. Now both of them, they fought 3 rounds last time against each other. They know each other. They can adjust their plans accordingly. What do you think about this fight?
It's very interesting when you have a rematch. In this case, an immediate rematch that came about by luck for Abdullah Qahtani. Obviously, unluck for Islam Reda, who was the fighter who won in the semifinals. Unfortunately, got injured. Abdullah Qahtani, as the alternate, he stepped in, and then we have this rematch. Rematches are always interesting because then we're going to see the capacity of each fighter to evolve in this case in a short period of time. In the first fight, by the way, both of them have striking backgrounds. Abdullah Qahtani in Muay Thai and Abdulrahman Hyasat as a Taekwondo fighter mostly. However, the fight went totally in an unexpected way, in my opinion. Abdulrahman was able to take the fight to the ground, control, and win the fight, as he always does. He has a very high fight IQ. He won all fights by decision, and that's not a knock on him that he doesn't finish fights. He's always in control of the fights. He knows how to win. So he was able to get the win here in Saudi Arabia at Al-Qahtani's home, and Abdullah Qahtani now has this chance. He got more people to help him in this camp once he got to know that he would step in and have this rematch. And what I can expect is that he's going to try to address what happened on the last fight, which was being taken down. So I imagine that he's been training takedown defenses. During the times the fights were in striking range in the last event, it was very exciting. So Al-Qahtani also was able to land some good strikes. And I don't know what to expect from this fight. Has Abdullah Qahtani been able to improve his takedown defense in this short period of time to keep the fight standing where he's more comfortable as a decorated Muay Thai champion? Or, Al-Hyasat will once again implement his game and win? There is the factor of being 5 rounds. Which of the fighters has a better cardio and is better prepared? We shall see, because we haven't seen them in this situation yet. So that's a very exciting fight, and I cannot wait.
Yes, indeed. And what I liked from last fight, after their fight, that the Saudi fans congratulated Abdulrahman, and they know that Abdullah is one of the top prospects this season, and still they accepted this. Most of the people, they didn't doubt the judges. It's at the end, it's a sport, and now they are cheering for Abdullah again to discover and resolve the mysterious Hyasat, who is undefeated until now.
Yes, definitely. I think, the real fans, you can see that, obviously they're cheering for their hometown hero, but they respect the skills of his opponent, who was able to, to get the victory. It was a clear victory. He won, at least 2 rounds. So the judges were on point. And, now he has, Qahtani, he has a big fan base here. Obviously, they're going to be cheering for him. But I think, the Saudi fans, the fan base for MMA is growing, obviously with the support of the Ministry of Sports, with the federation, working together with PFL MENA. It's a movement. We see how the sport is growing and people understanding more about the sport, and they are appreciating not only their hometown heroes, but also MMA as a sport. So, it doesn't surprise me that, they appreciated what and enjoyed watching what Abdulrahman did. But yeah, for sure, they want revenge. They want revenge. I'm sure they want to see Abdullah Qahtani getting the win this time. So I imagine he has a lot of pressure on his shoulders to represent his country. Another event here in Riyadh from this sold-out arena. Everybody's going to be cheering for him. Will that play a factor in Al-Qahtani to get him, this pressure, to get him nervous? Or this actually can, fuel him to get even, a better performance, and it might affect Abdulrahman. There are so many perspectives and so many variables in this matchup. Obviously, a rematch, the fan base cheering for him, the 5 rounds. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I cannot wait.
Definitely. In my interview with Abdullah Qahtani and Hyasat said that for him, he preferred another opponent for the finals, and that it's the first time he sees someone who gets defeated and getting a rematch in PFL. He said maybe Marwan should be in the finals with him. What are your says on this and the PFL stand? What we know, the loser who spent more time in the cage would get the advantage. Both of them lost by decision, 3 rounds. So what else PFL looks at? So they decided that Qahtani should be in the final, not Marwan.
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. So the way we do is after each round, we pick one of the losers or the best among the losers to be the alternate for the next round. So for the semifinals, we had the same. We had alternates as well, and then for the finals. And then, it's a discretionary decision, but we have a criteria. And what we are looking at is who gave a better fight, who had a better performance. And, between both of them lost, but Marwan, he especially on the second and third round, he didn't really have much response for Islam Reda's grappling and control. So we saw more of a war from Qahtani. He was on the ground, but he was trying to throw his strikes. He was trying to stand up. Obviously, when it was the fight was standing, he was able to land some strikes. So we determined that he was the number 1 alternate in this case, and Marwan the second alternate. So Marwan is here. He's the alternate. So imagine if something happens and he steps in again. Yeah. So anything can happen. But yeah. So that's how we work. For after each round, we pick one fighter to be the number 1 alternate, and in this case, Qahtani got the call. Very unfortunate for Islam Reda to get injured. We look forward to seeing him back in the cage next year. But yeah, we have a immediate rematch. Not the way it was it was planned. It was just it just happened. So lucky for Qahtani to get the shot, and I think it's an exciting fight. He has a lot to prove. Since he lost his last fight, it's time to see the improvements he was able to make to turn this around and potentially get the win. Abdulrahman, he's been looking very dominant in all his fights in his career. So that's a big challenge for Qahtani. So I cannot wait to see what he does with this chance.
Mr. Gustavo, it's always a pleasure to talk with you, and you clarify many things to MMA fans. Thank you very much for your time today. Just last words, and we will close up.
No, it's always a pleasure talking to you, my friend. I love the way you cover the sport. I have my notifications, everything you post, I'm always looking at, so I appreciate your work. And yeah, I expect another incredible event. It's been a great year for us, and we are gonna we're gonna finish it with the best way possible. PFL MENA championships. We have 4 incredible fights that we've been talking about. Obviously, there is so much more. We have 6 title fights on the PFL Global. So it's the fans are in for a treat. It's going to be a historical night of fights for the Middle East, and me as a fan, I cannot wait. And for the fans, make sure to tune in and witness history.
Thank you.